It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222, your emails at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. It first started in Koreatown, but now it's continuing in Hollywood as we're seeing an ever-growing trend of apartment buildings that had parking spaces for their tenants, where the parking spaces are being taken away in order to build ADUs. This is something that is a recent change in state law as of last year, and it turns out a lot of apartment owners are taking advantage of the fact that they can take away parking spaces from existing tenants, build ADUs, and not have to replace the parking. The problem is, if you are one of those existing tenants and you live in a very difficult place to park like Hollywood or Koreatown, well, now you're going to be doing the endless drive looking for parking every single day. And that's what's going on in Hollywood now. Here's NBC4.
Well, turning parking spots into ADUs is a story we first told you about last week in Koreatown. And we got a big reaction from viewers saying it's happening in their neighborhoods, too.
And it's making parking even worse. Alex Wazir follows up now on a story he brought you for the first time and only on NBC4.
I'm sure everybody has had an experience in Hollywood or some of these busier areas of just trying to find parking. It is difficult. I had a friend that lived on Argyle. You know the street where you get on the 101 freeway at Franklin? That's Argyle, near the Pantages Theater. Well, I had a friend that lived up in that area, and it was so impossible to ever find parking at her house that I would just say, screw it. I'm not even going to try. You can go to my house in the valley.
When I first shared this story about this apartment complex in Koreatown converting these parking spots into ADUs.
By the way, how big could these ADUs possibly be? Parking spaces aren't very big. Especially if like talking about a carport situation like I had in my old studio apartment in the valley. Like, how do you fit a whole building there? This doesn't make any sense.
I heard from so many of you. So many people had comments about what this landlord plans to do. Some think it's greedy on the part of the landlord, but other people think it's nice, giving people the ability to live in smaller, affordable places near attractions.
Well, first of all, what attractions? I do not understand the appeal of Hollywood. Not the concept, but the actual neighborhood. Outside of the Pantages Theater, which I love, I don't understand the Walk of Fame. I don't get the Chinese Theater. I don't find the appeal to any of that. It's just a very crowded area with a bunch of people who are Times Square rejects in bad costumes.
This is now possible in California.
In Koreatown? I mean, there's some good food there. There's the Wiltern. But attractions?
This is now possible.
I also, I'm pretty poo-poo on LA as a tourist destination.
This is now possible in California after a new law passed by the legislature and signed by the governor last year allows landlords to not replace a tenant's parking spot if they convert it to an ADU. But the story of parking...
And of course, this is what we've seen in San Diego for quite a while now, where they're building these massive ADU apartment buildings in people's backyards. They don't have to build any parking. And while you may think they're affordable, most of them are going for about what apartments are going for, $2,000 to $3,000.
But the story of parking turned into ADUs isn't just happening in Koreatown. We also got this email telling us that it's happening in Hollywood. So today we took the trip to Hollywood to see how it's going here.
I live over 15 years, man, but, I'm going to get my car right now.
Louis lives in this complex on Mariposa Avenue. He said his landlord removed half of the parking here earlier this year to start construction on several ADUs.
So does that mean that there's no more assigned parking and it's just a mad scrum to get those spaces? Because that's how feuds start.
And you lost your parking spot.
Yeah.
Louis didn't want to say too much today because he doesn't want to upset anyone, but it's clear how the change impacted the life of this disabled Navy veteran.
Okay, I have more questions. Did the landlord here take out the disabled parking? And isn't that a violation of the ADA?
We walked with him to his car, 2.5 blocks away in the 90-degree heat. Further down Mariposa, the tenants at this complex tell me the landlords took away all of their parking so they can start construction on these ADUs.
Ya tengo 2 años.
And I'm sure you're wondering, well, they're in a dense area. They're near transit hubs. Why don't they just start taking the bus? Oh, here was NBC4 last night.
Breaking right now at 3, a man found stabbed in North Hollywood near a Metro bus station.
Every single day like clockwork.
Jose Vasquez has lived here 2 years and lost his parking spot after he moved. Because there's so little.
Also, wouldn't that be a violation of your lease agreement if you sign a lease saying that you're going to pay XO dollars for this place that includes a parking space? Sometimes you're paying for the parking in that lease. They could just take that away?
Because there's so little parking here, you can see some cars are parked in the red, and then take a look at this truck. It's parked here, taking up half the driveway.
There's a lot of people that they struggle. They have to park 2-3 blocks away, even though they come in like in the middle of the night.
Today, we attempted to reach the landlords of the buildings on Mariposa that removed parking, but we didn't hear back. But back in Koreatown, at the complex we first reported on last week, tenants are rallying together.
A lot of other people have been reaching out to us.
Megan Thomas Bradner spent part of her day connecting with other apartments that may lose parking.
So it's not just one building in Koreatown that might lose its parking.
No, this is happening all over the place. There's a lot of money to be made on those parking spaces.
This could...
What does that ADU look like? It's like a tiny, tiny home like you'd see on HGTV.
This could happen to almost any neighborhood in Los Angeles.
But for now, it's people like Louis that are impacted most. He's now forced to navigate a more complicated life after this big change. In Hollywood, I'm Alex Rozier, NBC4 News.
So there you go. That's the latest out of what's going on in Hollywood and also Koreatown, where parking spaces in apartment buildings are being taken away so the landlords can build accessory dwelling units. And you might think to yourself, well, these are just some of the things that we need to do because we're in a massive housing crisis. It is very expensive to live here, and unless we make it easier to build all kinds of housing, nobody's going to be afford to live here, especially your kids. In fact, Nithya Raman, the LA City Council person for the San Fernando Valley and also parts of Hollywood and Los Feliz and Silver Lake, it's such a weirdly cut district. Another issue for another time. She went on with Conan Nolan to make the case for SB 79, the bill that would allow 7-story towers to be constructed anywhere near a transit hub. And she was asked why it's so difficult to build housing in Los Angeles. Let's hear what she had to say.
The City Council voted 8-5 to oppose the measure we were just talking about.
Yeah.
But all of them will say we do have a housing crisis.
That's right.
Why are we fundamentally incapable of building it?
Why are we fundamentally incapable of building the housing we need?
Correct.
Well, I think part of it is because we have a system right now where rather than setting down clear rules about where housing should be built and then decision makers stepping away from it, letting the rules do their work, letting the plan do its work, we have allowed a system to be set up at City Hall where council members have to make discretionary approvals particularly over large projects in their districts.
Yes. Every member of the city council has the thumbs up or the thumbs down on every construction project in their district. And yes, that is ripe for corruption.
And guess what? Large projects generate a lot of opposition. And so any new multifamily housing building project that's coming up could potentially have hundreds of units in it, could make a dent in the needs that we have for housing. That gets a ton of people coming out in protest. The council member gets involved, slows the building down, cuts down the size to try and appease neighbors. By the way, neighbors don't want it at all. They're not going to be happy.
By the way, she's doing great as a representative of representative government, right?
No matter what. And yet that project...
Nithya knows better than you.
No matter what. And yet that project lingers in front of the council for years and sometimes never gets built at all. And so when we entangle ourselves, that's the planning process that we've set up here in Los Angeles. We need a better system that really allows us to address the housing crisis. We need a plan that says this is where the housing should be built. And once we...
Anywhere near a bus stop.
And once we put this plan in place, City Council doesn't get involved project by project. By the way, it's that project by project intervention that also led to multiple accusations of corruption at City Hall. So we've set up the...
It's a little more than accusations, Nithya. It's convictions.
Accusations of corruption at City Hall. So we've set up the worst system for ourselves. It both undermines us in being able to address our housing crisis and leads to corruption.
Right. But to Angelenos, the message is at some point to solve this crisis, you need to give up your view of the Hollywood sign. I mean, it can't be two stories throughout the city.
Well, I think it's a little more, I would say it's a little bit more abstract than that. I think that to...
Choose your words carefully here, Nithya. There's a lot of homeowners listening.
To really ensure that this city has resilience into the future, we have to be willing to accept some change in our neighborhoods today. That's really what it is, right? We can't freeze this city in amber and keep it the same and expect that we are going to meet the moment of a bigger, economically vibrant city into the future. We need to be able to welcome young working people into this city. How do we do that right now? They are the backbone of a thriving economy. How do we welcome...
Well, right now they live with mom.
They are the backbone of a thriving economy. How do we welcome entrepreneurs here? How do we welcome artists here? How do we welcome musicians here, creators? All of these people that LA has historically welcomed, that have made this place into the region that it is today, the place I am so proud to call home and represent. If we close our doors to them because it is too expensive to live here, how do we keep LA going into the future? That's the question before us right now. It is not a specific around my view. It is about accepting some change locally, accepting some change at this moment so that we can make sure that the city thrives into the future.
Nithya Raman is a member of the Los Angeles.
So there you go. You heard her, Nithya Raman, who is one of the most powerful members of the LA City Council. The only way to solve the housing crisis in Los Angeles, in Southern California, the only way to build enough that everything's affordable for everyone is your neighborhoods have to change. You are not going to be able to keep your neighborhood the way you want it.
To really ensure that this city has resilience into the future, we have to be willing to accept some change in our neighborhoods today.
That's what Nithya Raman has to say, and now is your opportunity to respond to that. Do you agree with Nithya Raman that the only way we solve this housing crisis is by changing the way our neighborhoods look? Or is there another way out of this? Is there something that they're not focusing on? Because it seems the thing that they're focusing on is to do away with the single-family home, and that's the only way that we're going to get out of this crisis. What say you? Nithya Raman says the only way we're going to solve California's housing crisis is if you accept your neighborhoods have to change.
To really ensure that this city has resilience into the future, we have to be willing to accept some change in our neighborhoods today.
How do you feel about that? Do you agree with what Nithya has to say? Do you disagree? Now's the time to get on the line and make your voice heard about this. The phone number to join us is 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222, 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Nithya Raman says in order to solve the housing crisis, your neighborhoods are going to have to change. What say you? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Whether you're a homeowner or a renter, I'm sure you have an opinion on this, so make your voice heard. 800-222-KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We're taking your phone calls right now at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. California is in an affordability crisis. Nithya Raman says the way that we make the cost of living more affordable is we've got to drastically build, and that means neighborhoods have to accept that their neighborhoods are going to look different.
To really ensure that this city has resilience into the future, we have to be willing to accept some change in our neighborhoods today.
What say you? Do you agree with what Nithya has to say? Do you disagree? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's start with Ray in Manhattan Beach. Ray, hello.
Hello. If you look at SB 79, it was written by a group called YIMBY, which stands for Yes in My Backyard. They are funded by all the corporate developers, and they want to come in and build anything, anywhere. If you look at an overlay of most cities in California, they're almost completely covered by the half-mile radius around a transit stop. The other thing they do is down the road, they change the definition of a Tier 3 transit stop so at a lower level. And next you know, then they can build even more areas because now there's more bus stops that are available, or they move a bus stop. But these are not affordable housing projects whatsoever. They're all market rate. None of them fall under rent control. So they can do whatever they want. They want to build high-end rental properties that you rent forever. The ultimate rent control is ownership because your payment never goes up. I live 2 blocks to the beach and my payment's $3,000. And I bought the thing 25 years ago. When I was freaking out when I bought it at the time, how expensive it was, but now it's nothing. So it's
compared to what people are paying for now.
Oh yeah. Well, I got it. I got lucky. I got in there just before everything started exploding. But the real thing is you've got to recruit industries inland where housing is more available and there's more land. So if you move manufacturing, you move different industries inland and create incentives for them to go in there. You go put in a chip manufacturing plant inland, and you recruit a lot of jobs out there. Do some of the AI data centers and whatnot. Do all those inland. Take your run-of-the-mill manufacturing, move it inland, and people can buy a house. I mean, there's a lot of affordable housing. Like you go up to Santa Clarita and up in that area up there, you can get houses. You try and do it in the
dream is somewhat affordable there. It is getting more expensive there, but it's still cheaper than the San Fernando Valley. And you go even further out, and even though there's no jobs there, there is plenty of affordable places to buy a home in places like Palmdale and Lancaster and Riverside. So I think you make a really strong point, and that doesn't mean tearing down the neighborhoods that we have so we can build a whole bunch of apartment buildings.
To really ensure that this city has resilience into the future, we have to be willing to accept some change in our neighborhoods today.
Your reaction to Nithya Raman's plans. Let's go to Scott in Hollywood Hills. Scott, hello.
Hi, Randy. Thanks for taking my call. So I was one of the 5 people that ran the Nithya Raman recall in 2021, and obviously we failed. It was the height of COVID. But the point is, listen, we need to understand that there are people in our society, some are pro-free enterprise, capitalist. We do have people that really believe in Marxism in this country. Nithya Raman is a Marxist. She is a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. You read their website. They are extremely hostile against single-family dwellings, not because, Nithya is not in favor of developers like the previous caller suggested. That's not what's motivating her. What's motivating her is she wants to destroy single-family homes because single-family homes, families are part of an orderly society that stands in the way of the socialist goal. And people are just not paying attention to this. She was on Conan Nolan. I'm not sure if that's the clip you're playing. And Conan I really like Conan, but it went right over his head as to what really motivates her. You know, you think about half a mile radius. That's Nordoff. That's pretty much the entire San Fernando Valley. That's pretty.
Oh, it's the entire city of Los Angeles, Scott. That's part of what would be so fascinating if SB 9 does pass. Or SB 79 does pass. Well, obviously, everyone's animated about this. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Nithya Raman says in order to solve the housing crisis, your neighborhoods have to change.
To really ensure that this city has resilience into the future, we have to be willing to accept some change in our neighborhoods today.
800-222-KABC is the phone number. If you're on hold, stay on hold to get to more of your calls next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222, your emails at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. LA City Councilwoman Nithya Raman went on with Conan Nolan this weekend, and she believes the only way out of California's affordability crisis is to change your neighborhoods.
To really ensure that this city has resilience into the future, we have to be willing to accept some change in our neighborhoods today. That's really what it is, right? We can't freeze this city in amber and keep it the same and expect that we are going to meet the moment of a bigger, economically vibrant city into the future. We need.
So what say you? Do you agree with Nithya that the only way out of the housing crisis is to change our neighborhoods? Or do you disagree? Let's go to John in La Cañada. John, hello.
Hey, good evening. Love your show. Listen, this whole thing has to do with kind of like not paying any attention to what the foundation of the founding fathers intended for land process and its acquirement. It wasn't meant to just rent everything out, okay? And she just wants to sell out everything. If she wants to sacrifice her birthright and give it to some illegal alien, maybe that's what she needs to do. But if we got rid of the people that didn't belong here, we'd have more than an abundance of areas to rent to these people.
You know, it's an interesting thought, especially in Los Angeles County, where there's a population of 10 million here, and it's estimated that 1 million are in the country illegally. That's 10% of the population. You're right. That does make a huge difference when it comes to the amount of housing.
Yeah, imagine that. I mean, it would free up everything, and the people that actually have a birthright here may have a place to rent. You know, and these guys, who knows what they're up against? They're violating their oath of office. That's the bottom line.
Well, there's been a lot of that. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Paul in Saugus. Paul, hello.
Hey, good afternoon, Randy. I don't have all the answers, but I do not have any faith in Nithya or any of the city council that they do, and I don't think they should be making policy on housing. All their policies have done nothing but change our neighborhoods to worse neighborhoods, both where I live and where I run my business. So I think single-family housing is important to the United States, and I think that's probably one of the last few things that we have that moves our people along. So they just need to fire these idiots. Sorry.
I understand the sentiment. Thanks for the call, Paul. Appreciate it. And here's the thing, and I've discussed this before, but single-family homes will always be in demand, especially single-story single-family homes. 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, what used to be known as the starter home. They don't get built anymore because it's so expensive to build here that if you're going to build single family, it's going to be some giant HOA development like you see in Porter Ranch, and every home is going to be a 2-story, 5 or 6 bedroom, or it's going to be townhouse or condos or apartments. But the kind of neighborhood that I'm broadcasting from, a neighborhood that was built in 1957, they're not going to build this. And so if you decide that the policy is that you're going to enable zoning changes to tear down this specific kind of housing, that demand's not going to go away. And that is why single-family homes, including 3-bed, 2-baths in the Dumpy Valley, are going for near $1 million. It is interesting just to think about, with the Nithyas of the world and the Scott Wieners, everything they've done to make it easier to build, to change zoning, to do all of these things, has not made it any cheaper to live here. It has only gone one direction. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Nithya Raman says, in order to solve the housing crisis, your neighborhood has to change.
To really ensure that this city has resilience into the future, we have to be willing to accept some change in our neighborhoods today.
Do you agree with that statement or do you disagree? Let's go to Freedom in Avalon. Freedom, hello.
Hi, this is Freedom. Yeah. No, I don't go along with what she's saying at all. I'm a renter and a homeowner as well, and I believe the family is the most important thing that we need to focus on right here, because I think the family is going to save the country. It's going to save the community and the country, in my personal opinion, without getting religious. But I do feel that those last 4 callers, they're spot on, all of them. But until those kind of people engage in politics and get involved, nothing's going to change, because we're going to have idiots like what we see on the city council right now. We get the same thing in our community. Nothing's changing because they all agree with each other, because there's no dissenting voice, for one, and they're all just left-leaning kind of wackos, if you ask me. There's nothing common sensibility about what they push forward except a Marxist, communist, socialist, authoritarian kind of agenda, and the family is what gets in the way of that. So I feel those family homes are really important, and if somebody wants to start a community that is impacted like the way these people want, they need to go somewhere else and do it. There's plenty of space up beyond Fresno, Bakersfield, up in the Central Valley. There's housing tracts up there they can add to. They can put industries and businesses up there, and people can live up there. But I think that would just destroy this area. Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate your call, and it is interesting, right? Nithya Raman has not been coy about her view. She's not been coy about her beliefs or her affiliation with the DSA. She had a very common sense guy named, Ethan Weaver run against her, and she still won outright in the primary, even after she got redistricted to the suburbs. So right now, at least in the city of LA, this is what we want. But it is interesting. You know, as much as we talk about California's in a housing crisis, there's a whole lot of empty space in California. You know, I was listening to, I don't even remember what it was. It was some real estate experts on just building in the San Fernando Valley. And there's this massive tract of just power towers, of just electrical towers that takes up acres and acres and acres, that if you would have the utilities put underground, you could build a whole bunch of housing right there. You also have a whole bunch of derelict, abandoned buildings all over the place, which we don't seem to talk about as a solution to the housing crisis. And there's a whole bunch of unnecessary, overproduced retail that is not doing well. There's vacancy signs in every single strip mall. There's way too many shopping malls. We did not need 6 Macy's in the San Fernando Valley. So I think there are plenty of places to put up more housing without destroying our neighborhoods. But what say you? Here's what Nithya Raman said to Conan Nolan.
To really ensure that this city has resilience into the future, we have to be willing to accept some change in our neighborhoods today.
Nithya says to solve the housing crisis, your neighborhood has to change. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. If you're on hold, stay on hold. Getting right back to your calls next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Thanks for holding, everybody. Let's go to Gil in Irvine. Gil, hello.
Hi, Randy. You know, I live in Woodbridge Village, and we're fighting ADUs here. We got 25 applications just in our town. They're converting. We're on a zero lot lines here, and they're converting the garages. I was offered $300,000 for my lot and a half that I actually have here. Our city council's 5 social democrats who are just honestly trying to urbanize our suburban community. We have a master plan. We have an open space initiative that was planned in '88, that was voted in '88 by the people that are wacko social Democrat mayor is now trying to overturn and throw 3,100 units on it, and without the developers even given parkland space. These social democrats, it's almost a losing battle for us, though, because the state has mandated up and down the state that you have to have these housing plans. And they're wanting to put another 150,000 people in Irvine alone. And we're almost built out, to be honest with you. It's a never-ending battle. But you know what it really gets down to? It's show me the money. And you know why they want to push this, Randy? It's because every time somebody moves, the county assessors can reassess the property, and instead of being on Proposition 13, they now reassess it. To be honest with you, I pay $8,500 a year on my property tax for a house that we bought 20 years ago. If I move, the new owners are going to be paying $18,000. That's what it's about, Randy. It's about the money. And people are falling for this crap because the state and the Democrats, the social democrats, they're trying to give people hope that they can buy a house. You know, Irvine was just called the fifth least affordable place in the entire United States to buy. I mean, we're not going to have affordable housing here. There's no affordable housing anywhere in Southern California, and they're selling this concept because everyone wants to live near the beach. That's why they're not buying houses or building in Palmdale and Lancaster. It takes you 3 hours to get to the beach. But if they can shove an ADU down the throat of a Huntington Beach and Irvine and even Costa Mesa and towns like that, Manhattan Beach, Redondo, everyone has hope that they're going to live near the beach. It's a complicated problem, but there's no such thing.
And even
as
with all these additions of all these additions of these ADUs, we have not seen the prices for homes go down. We haven't seen the prices for rentals go down. These ADUs aren't cheap. And you're totally right. You take a master plan community like Irvine and you decide to shove 100,000 more homes in it. I don't think it'll be known as the safest community in the state anymore. Thanks so much for the call, Gil. Appreciate it. Let's go to Sam in Sherman Oaks. Sam, hello.
Yeah, I totally reject the concept that there's even a housing crisis, especially over the past, 3, 4, even 5 years. The population of California has declined, especially in Los Angeles County. That accounts for most of the population decrease. So you don't have this continued population pressure with this increased housing demand. The other point is, if you can't afford to live here, then you don't live here. Simple as that.
Well, that's not equity, and we have to be equitable. Thank you so much for the call, Sam. Appreciate it. 790 KABC welcomes Disney's Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas live in concert at the Hollywood Bowl October 26th. Tickets on sale Friday at Ticketmaster.com, but right now, call in number 9 at 1-888-795-2222. Gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Live Nation. Good luck dialing. If you're on hold, stay on hold. More of your calls up next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's go to Robert in Whittier. Robert, hello.
Hey, Randy, great show, great topic.
Thank you.
I'm involved in real estate valuation, feasibility studies, mostly for housing. There's multi-points here. This woman in the council is being really simplistic. the bottom line is we've had a huge impact to our supply and demand in our state for housing, particularly Southern California, because we've had millions of people come in here unvetted, illegally, absorbing the affordable housing. And we've done nothing about it. We've had redevelopment agencies wiped out by Jerry Brown back in, I think, 2012. So you had several hundred of these redevelopment agencies gone because they wanted to put the money, divert money for tax purposes. And so we've never had that replaced. And so we haven't had the thinking that needs to go on. And things like higher density housing around transit hubs, around walkable areas, just like they've done in Seattle, where they have these micro apartments for young people, single people, smaller, couples, where they can walk to wherever they need to walk to. But what she's talking about is just, it's just there's no discipline to it. You need to have infrastructure. You need to have water. You need to have electricity.
Oh, they don't even think about that. We're out of time. Thank you so much for the call, Robert. But we will continue this discussion because this topic ain't going away anytime soon. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC.